On this episode of Pedal Down 4x4 on the long travel build on the 3rd gen 4runner, we are going to be installing some triple bypass shocks. Should be pretty cool. Alright you guys, so as I just said, we are going to be installing some of these guys. Now these are triple bypass shocks from Locked Off Road. This is a full Locked Off Road suspension as well as BTF fabrication. These are going to be the triple bypass shocks that we're going to install on the 4runner. So we do need to do some welding, some grinding, and some fitting up. So yeah, we also need to align the 4runner because it's not aligned properly. But we'll do that on a future episode. Once the whole front end suspension is done and we're happy where it's sitting, because it has to level itself for right now. We'll do the alignment later. But let's get to fitting up this kit. I do have the hoop kit from Snowbound Custom, so I'll go ahead and show you guys what that looks like. Alright, so we're taking a look at the Snowbound kit here. So when you do buy the Snowbound kit, you're going to get your shock hoop. You're going to get 2 of them, obviously, for 2 sides. You're going to get a top hat reinforcement plate. Now, this is very important because the Toyota top hats are thin steel. I want to say it's like maybe an 1/8 inch, maybe, if that. So they crack. So you're going to want to get these reinforcement plates. These are good, so you don't have to actually weld anything. You just bolt them straight through. That's Gucci. You are going to get shock tabs, obviously, to mount the shocks. Lower tabs to mount on the actual vehicle, to mount to the lower control arm. That's what I meant to say. And then you're gonna get hardware. So this is the hardware, some more hardware to mount your shocks. There is one more thing that is actually missing in this kit. I did contact Casey at Snowbound Customs. You are supposed to get a lower tube that actually welds to the frame. Not a big deal. I do a lot of fabrication, so I actually have tube. So I just let them know that it's okay. Stuff happens, mistakes happen. So just to give him the heads up on that. He did offer to send me new ones, but I'm like, I have tube. I honestly didn't. The only reason why I ordered this is I just didn't want to go to the effort of cutting a tube, bending it, making this. I was like, I just want this bits. It's just a piece of flat tube anyway. It doesn't really matter. So we are going to get to fitting up this on the 4runner. We are going to pull the tire off, jack it back up again, put it back on the jack stands, that whole ordeal. It's another day. Get it done. Okay, so here is that reinforcement plate. Now, I actually think you do need to weld this guy on. You bolt it on first and then you weld it and paint it. I think I have to go look at the instructions that Casey sent. Anyway, you can see that these match up just perfect with that. Obviously I'm just putting it on here for a reference. You need to take the bolts off. You know, you don't have to be rocket science to figure that out. This tube now will connect somewhere in the middle, like so, and then you can see down here, that's where that lower tube would sit, like that. So we're going to get to unbolting this coilover, bolting this on with it. They do have longer bolts for you, and then we can go ahead and get this guy mounted on, and then we can start figuring out what we're going to weld, yada yada yada. So I also have to grind this top plate, which I'm kind of bummed because I just painted this, but it is what it is. Let's get it off. Alright, so we have the top plate bolted in and mounted on the 4runner right now. So next thing we're going to do is I actually need to cut some tubes out here to make that base section on there. And then we're going to go ahead and start trying to figure out where to mount this is kind of, you have to figure it out, what orientation, yada yada yada. You also have to test your shock length and whatnot like that. So this is basically fully extended, and I'm gonna try and mount it right here, right next to it, so it's under the same stroke length, and we'll get it close. It's not gonna reach full bump anyway. I will be installing in some hydraulic bump stops somewhere over here. I don't know exactly where, maybe right here or something. I don't know. But we'll be doing some hydro bump stops, so it won't even reach the full compression anyway. But yeah, I'm gonna go cut some tube up. I'll do that off camera, probably 3-inch or 4-inch tubes, and then we'll start welding. All right, so we have the tower tack welded on. You guys can see, tacked this guy on, tacked it up there, tacked these mounts. The angle of the coilover and the bypass shock is exactly the same, and then I have it mounted down here, tack welded to there. So I need to clean this up and then actually fully weld it. I made a little spacer tube to bolt in between the plates to keep the width correct on this guy. So it looks pretty good. We have the actual shock shaft on both lengths are exactly the same. It doesn't look like it because this has a cup on it for the coil, but they're actually exactly the same. So that should be good. And realistically, it wouldn't bottom out anyway because of the bump stop I'm gonna run in here. So it would hit the bump stop before it even came into the actual range of damaging this guy or that guy. So far it's looking really good. I'm kind of debating on where I want to mount this thing. Like if I want to mount it up here like that, or in the pictures that they have it mounted like something like this, something like that. So that's pretty cool too. I'll have to test for wheel fitment. I know for a fact that this isn't going to hit, but I think with this on there, it might come close. So I have to test on the steering and whatnot. But yeah, so I'm going to just go ahead. I'm going to go do it off camera. I'm going to fully burn these guys in. This shock is exactly where I want it to sit right now. So we should be pretty good. And then once that's done, I'll show you guys the final product. We still have to paint this guy up, which I'll use the same black paint that we used to paint the frame. I think I have a spray actually I can just spray it with, but I'm gonna have to cover up all the control arms and whatnot. So, and then I have to cap this guy off. I have to make a cap for that. But as of the bypass shock, it is mounted. We're looking good. So yeah, I'll come back to you guys when this thing is fully welded. All right, good morning. It's the next day. Had at it went pretty hard last night. It was till about 10:30. I was welding on the other side. It's 4th of July, but check us out. So that's the bypass shocks all done and dusted. And then I also did this side as well. So this side's bypass shocks are also mounted. So far they're looking pretty good. Obviously need to do a lot of tuning when this thing is done, but the only bummer thing that I had was I had to grind off the powder coat off of the control arm, which you guys can see that I grinded it over there. And I actually had some of this Rust-Oleum metallic finish chrome, which it's not chrome, but it does match the control arm really well. You can't really tell. So I'm pretty stoked with that. Painted the top part black. Got the reservoir mounted. And then I do need a clearance up here a little bit more. It's not touching, but it will be close. So with the body movement, it would touch 100%. So I could always clock this in a little bit more, but we have a bunch of clearance now. So yeah, that is going to be the secondary bypass shocks mounted. Good to go. We need to paint in here to make it look less fugly, but at this current moment, I'm pretty happy with it. And then I still need to do a little bit of grinding and stuff to the bumper here. But yeah, as of right now, it's looking really, really good. Got the skid plate back on because I wanted to see what it would look like. And then I have to do the alignment on it. But that is basically the front end of this vehicle done. I think up next, we're going to get into the hood. So we'll start chopping up the hood a little bit and refiberglassing it and drilling it. So yeah, check her out. All right, you guys, so that is basically going to wrap it up for this week's episode of Pedal Down 4x4. All the suspension bits on the front end is done. We're golden. We're good to go. Secondary bypass shocks are installed, as well as the whole hoop kit from Snowbound Customs. There are little things I need to finish up, make a little prettier, but that's for another day off camera. But as of right now, front end is done on the 4runner. Next episode, we're going to get into the hood. So we're going to grind this guy up and mess with it, probably pull the hood off and play with it there. She definitely needs some love. But till next time, and as always, thanks for watching.